Hello everyone and welcome back to Farming Simulator 2022. We're back here in Elm Creek with Grober Games. Last episode we got all our spring tillage done, we got our beans in. The one thing I did forget to do that last episode that I did in the middle of the night and just didn't record it, forgot to record it was, we forgot to plant our little field up here. So, now we're officially done with all our planting. The one thing I was talking with our agronomist about is that it looks like one of our fields needs some lime on it yet, and then once we get it lime, we'll get all our second round of fertilizer applied since the beans seem to be growing pretty nicely. I guess I didn't realize that this field was needing some lime, so it's a good thing I had a agronomist come out and take some soil sampling and let me know about it. So we're gonna get this limed here, and once we get that done, we're gonna go back at our fertilizer spreader, unloaded with the from the lime and loaded up with the fertilizer, and get all three of these fields done today. And as I'm sure you could tell when we were looking out front of our porch over here, weeds are starting to get pretty big. And with us being next to the highway, I don't like how much of a reputation it's gonna give us. So we're just gonna have to bite the bullet today and pick up a sprayer no matter what. I haven't decided if we're gonna get the Hardy sprayer or there was a nice Coon one. If I get the Hardy one, I could get a matching tank with it and have extra capacity, so that way when we start going around to do the herbicide contracts, spraying contracts, that we would have a pretty good capacity on us. Or I could just go with the Coon one, which will be a little bit cheaper. The only other difference is their widths. The Kuhn Kraus one's got a little bit smaller width, if I remember right, and the Hardy's got a little bit bigger. So I'll be deciding that while we get the fields limed and fertilized here. We'll jump in the tractor here, get that hooked up. I already got the row crop tires put on, so that way we don't damage any of our crops. I haven't looked into any of the contracts yet this morning. I figure right now we got a good amount of stuff to do to keep us busy. We might be able to sneak one in here. The other thing too is I was contacted by the spinnery this morning and they asked if it was alright. We'll do the fertilizing first instead of the lime. So they contacted me this morning and asked if it'd be alright if they just put the cotton bales we have aside there, and we could do like a price later contract with them. So, and I told them it was fine. It wasn't a big deal. We'll still have some income coming from that. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that. Probably not too close. I think we'll just, when they get caught up, I think we'll just sell it off to them, and that way we'll be done with it and we can get it out of their storage and we won't get charged for storing it there, even though they said they would just put it in their building out back and leave it there without charging us. But I just don't, that doesn't sit right with me. So we'll go around here, get our fertilizer spread here. Didn't take too long, about a pass in each field, but you can kind of see the weeds are starting to come in pretty good this year. I know that field across has a lot greater potential, just because last year we didn't spray it at all. Well, let me rephrase that. Chuck didn't spray it at all, so a lot of the seeds were kind of left in the ground over winter, and then when we disked it all, we kind of gave them the perfect seed bed to keep going. But doesn't look like our neighbor's helping much either. Their field is worse off for weeds than ours is right now, actually. I can't even tell. I don't think they got anything planted there yet, which is kind of interesting. But I think we'll have to get in contact with them. If we have another good year like we did this past year, we might be picking that up and making this one big piece of a field. And I think if we do an expansion at some point, we put up a cattle barn or some other type of livestock. I think we might just put it back up over here. That way we're kind of away from the creek, and it's kind of hidden behind the windbreak around here, out back and away from the road and out of sight. One of the reasons I kind of want to put it back here is because that way we're a good amount of distance away from the creek over there. Because in reality, one of my previous jobs, I had to help get farmers approved for their animal operations. That basically there was an equation that you had to do, and it said, well, if you have this many ahead, you have to submit paperwork to the state saying, yes, I have this many ahead. It's this far from a clear-cut water source, which you can tell this is a creek, so it is a clear-cut water source. So that way, if they had manure runoff or anything like that, that they were far enough away that it wouldn't slip into the creek and cause issues with the wildlife. So that way, none of the wouldn't have any fish kill off and stuff like that. And there was a bunch of other rules they had to abide by too, like being X amount of feet away from neighbors. So, for example, like our neighbor over there would, if we put it up right next to him, would be way too close just because of the standards they have set for it. Basically, they don't want. I can't remember exactly what it was for feet. I think for like the first tier it was like 1250 per feet, like 1,250 feet away from the closest neighbor for the like first tier of that stuff. And they kept going up as you went up each tier. I did a little wheelie going through there, I noticed. So I think that's what I kind of have planned right now for future operations. Why is it not liming? Yeah, we not. I know in 19 we can lime at this. Wonder if we can't lime at this stage. That'll have to be something we'll have to look in later too. If that's the case, that's really gonna hurt our yield this coming year. We'll try it again later, but for now we'll just head into town here quick. We'll drop this off back underneath the lean-to on the barn. I think I'm gonna pick up a chainsaw today too and get rid of that branch. It's been bugging me, kind of in an awkward spot, and I honestly don't like it. So we might have to hook the loader up and jump on it to reach in and get rid of that little branch. We'll just cut away to us going to town here, get the sprayer picked up, and we'll see you guys in a little bit here. Alright, so we went in there, talked to Chuck, and we picked up our sprayer there, and we got a pallet of chemicals ready to go for weed killing. And I decided to go with the Coon Kraus one, just because if I got the Hardy one, I kind of would just automatically gone with the spare tank, and it's almost about $9,000 more. I mean, we still be good on money for where we're at right now, especially since we could pick up a few contracts yet and pick up a harvester yet for the fall. But I kind of penny pinching now again. Like, granted, the last fall was very generous to us, but I just couldn't bring myself to do that. Plus, we already got a Coon fertilizer spreader, so I figure we might as well stick with one brand, maybe, and hopefully some of the parts are interchangeable between them. I don't think there'll be too much for parts. It doesn't look like the sprayer comes with little wheels for rolling around in the building when you get set down, but that's fine. We'll just have to place it and be done with it type thing. Even with a little bit smaller wingspan, it's not a huge deal to me. I think sticking with one brand might be a little nicer for now. But we're gonna pull in right here on this end of the field, but I'm still kind of boggled why, like out of game, why I can't spread lime right now for the field, because I know back in 19 they allowed it, but maybe they changed the way everything is. Oh, wrong stick. There we go. Get it adjusted so we're a little bit above the crop here. We should be able to make this in one pass here, so let's get that going. Now for flashers. Now we'll have a nice looking field for all the passerbyers to finally look at. Maybe we won't get so many dirty looks when we go into town and stop at the gas station for stuff, and as they see our fields kind of getting its weed situation taken care of. I know personally, my folks, we have all our spraying and chemicals done through a cooperative just because we don't own a sprayer and don't have that kind of time. And the only time I ever worked closely with spraying was when I went up north to work for that farmer I talked about a few episodes ago. They had what was it? It was a deer sprayer. I can't remember. It was a 4000 series number, but I think most of them are 4000 series. But it's an older one, and I basically was the I helped out with it by spray tending to them. So basically, that they had a truck with a flatbed that he custom made a bunch of tanks and valves and systems and pipes to it so that way we had a mixed tank on there and two big holding tanks for the water. The mixing tank was called the agitation tank. So basically, we would add all the chemicals we were planning to put down into a little cone, measure it out, and fire it into the tank. And while it was firing in the tank, the water was circulating, mixing it all together inside the tank there. It wasn't a bad thing. Personally, I don't like working with chemicals just because it just makes me a little anxious for obvious reasons, health reasons wise. Like it's not the greatest thing in the world, but somebody's got to do it. I'm just glad it was something I decided was not going to be a long-term situation for me working there. Just at the time, he was still getting started, and I really liked what I did there and everything, but the issue was it wasn't like a full company yet, so basically he was paying me cash, and so when tax season came around, I had to pay a lot more money in than I ever wanted to. I think it was one of the first few times I had to pay in quite a bit of money just because he wasn't taxing the payment as I was getting it, and it all had to come out on my end. And just at the time, he couldn't offer any true benefits, so to speak. Is probably the best way to put it. So like I couldn't get insurance. He didn't have insurance for me, so I would have had to go out and find my own insurance and stuff, and it was just not a great situation at the time. So I think we'll jump into a little time lapse here. I think after I get this sprayed, I'm gonna hook up the spreader one more time and go out and try spreading it again. If it doesn't work, I think we might just be out of that. And that's not the worst situation in the world. It looks like we only can do it in the fall or early spring before everything's planted, but we'll live to learn the lesson. So we'll just do a small time lapse here, jump back in that tractor and do it again. And the one thing I forgot to talk to Chuck before we left was about a chainsaw. So I think we'll kind of time lapse and / time skip ahead after I get the chainsaw and such. And we'll go from there. So we'll see you guys in a little bit.
We got our windows down, driving down the 405, sing along to the radio. get in our way. We will be the biggest band in town. Round and round the world we'll go, putting on the greatest show. So make sure that you don't miss out, just be there. We're taking our shot, bring what you got. We're going all the way to the top. We will hear the sound of 1 million people screaming our names when we're backstage. We'll play loud, surfing the crowd. Everybody's jumping around. Yeah, that's the place where I wanna be. Going on stage, headline on a Saturday night. Oh, 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 Saturday night. Oh, oh, oh. I'm gonna quit my job. Never wanna have no bars. I just wanna play my rock and roll like they do on the radio. Tommy's got brand new drums, and I still have my old guitar. And John said this next song's gonna be real good, if you know what I mean. Round and round the world we'll go, putting on the greatest show. So make sure that you don't miss out, just be there. We're taking our shot, bring what you got. We're going all the way to the top. We will hear the sound of 1 million people screaming our names when we're backstage.
Alright, so we got our spraying done. I went out there, tried again, and it looks like I just kind of shot myself in the foot. I should have called the agronomist out earlier and got it figured out. Realized that we needed a lime, but we'll pay for it this season with the yield loss, but we'll live and learn from it, unfortunately, hopefully. Hopefully I learn from it. I mean, that's the only thing you really can do when you make a mistake like that, so. That put away there. Next thing I want to do quick is that we're going to take care of that branch. I stopped it. I picked up the fertilizer tank. Not the fertilizer, the herbicide tank that we still had left over. And we're going to picked up a chainsaw, 261 steel. Which should be a good one. Good enough one for us, so I think this should be able to reach that branch. And this is probably not the safest thing to do in real life, but I think in Farming Simulator we should be able to get away with it. In reality, you would want a bucket. Actually, you know what? Let's kind of want to trim all 3 of those branches, lower ones, so that way our larger equipment won't have any issues later on. So I think. Oh gosh, we can barely reach it right there. So let's hop up here. Climb up. There we go. I feel like this tree though. There we go. Kinda hard to see the line, but I want to get as close as truck as possible. There we go. Oh, glad that didn't fall on the tractor. That's too far to reach. Let's drop back down here. And I think we'll just kind of grind this up into little pieces. It's not worth. Not worth hauling to the sawmill and trying to get anything out of it. They'll probably laugh at me as I brought it in, bring it in. Sure, they would give us a little something, but my eyes, just not worth the time. Oh, gee. Keep grinding up. And I'll let you know already, I'm not a big lumber person in this game. I tried quite a bit back in 19. I'll tell you what, I just could never get a hang of the controls of like the actual big like professional wood cutting machines. I can never just control the crane right and such. And loading, I never mastered either. There we are. Let's hop back up here. I wouldn't recommend doing this at home, granted. Really, I know we've done it, but we did it with a... Oh, shoot. Well, that was close. But yeah, there we go. I like the way that looks quite a bit better. So we'll just back this up here. Get those all ground down into the wood chips. But yeah, there's been plenty of times where we just use the loader like that. We would shut the tractor off and then climb the frame to the bucket to get to what we needed to be working on. And I'm sure OSHA would be, if there wasn't anything OSHA isn't anything OSHA approved, it's definitely that. But there's been quite a few times I remember doing that. I remember one of the times when I was younger growing up, I had to sit in the bucket of our loader tractor, and we sit on a calf we were bringing out from the pasture, because at the time we didn't own any like ATVs or UTVs or whatever. That would make that super handy. Come on. So that was quite an experience, especially since I wasn't super old then. So it was quite a chore to hold that calf down, especially with the tractor kind of rocking back and forth. But you know, we had to get that calf out of the pasture somehow, and that was the easiest way to do it at the time, instead of trying to lug it all the way up. But nowadays I know my folks still once in a while have a pasture for all the dry cows on the dairy, but we are pretty good about keeping track about who's about to calf and such. But they don't always come when we want them to, so I think we're gonna get this stuff all put away here. Well, actually, before we start putting stuff away, nothing very good on the used market. I haven't seen anything worthwhile since we bought this tractor. I saw another one for sale, and I thought about buying it, but I kind of want to get a little variety going. Something different, even though it'd be nice to have another one, even if it was a little smaller or bigger. But let's see who needs some help. Well, there's quite a few people who got planting to do yet. I see where that neighbor's at. It was field 39. That's a pretty good size field. Kind of want to keep to a smaller job. 59. That's kind of a bigger one too if we use our own equipment. I don't think their seeder's much bigger than ours. It looks like 4 meters almost. Or we could do some fertilizing contracts, which I kind of want to do a little more variety. Really don't want to do any cultivating or baling. I've had my fill of that for a bit, but we're not really left with too many options here. It's already noon, so now I'm gonna get this stuff put away quick here. And we might actually call it a day. This might be a little bit of a shorter episode this time around, but try and avoid doing super long contracts. I don't know how people feel about it, because like I said, the last few have taken 2 episodes. Unload the rest of the chemical into here, hopefully. Oh, perfect. That way we can just put this away in here. I don't remember. Okay, so the disc is like that. See if we can squeeze this around the corner in here. That way it's mostly out of the way. Oh, just perfect. You know what? Maybe let's get some organizing done here quick. I think one thing I need to do is invest in a power washer. It's starting to let the machine get a little more dirty than I would like. But yeah, I think I did quite a bit of talking this episode. I think we might just end it here. I'm little, or we could just pick up one of these fertilizer contracts. Do it. We'll just pick up the 52 one. We'll talk a little bit more and do that, and then we'll end the episode, and I'm going to do some tidying up around the yard. I might, in between episodes, buy a power washer. And I think we're going to move on into the next day, because our yard tree looks a little bit better. I think I took a little too much off now, looking at it, but worst case scenario, I can always take it completely down and plant a new one there. But we're gonna hop over to our neighbor's field over here quick. Oh, maybe not, because I forgot that I had lime on here. But yeah, we'll do that field quick here. I'm trying to think of something else, something a little else to talk about. We won't make another time lapse out of it. Just because it's such a small field to begin with, and we'll come back here and end the episode. Hopefully I can get by with the fertilizer we got, too. I think there's a back lane to the neighbor's field this way. Let's go around the border of the field here. Got some people walking along here too. I guess I'll have to be careful. I didn't realize they walked out this far. It's kind of a nice little area. Yeah, we'll just start at this corner and make our way around. So I think fall might come a little faster than it did our first year. Just because, like I said, I don't mind doing the contracts, but I kind of want to get to more into our own state of where we're basically doing mainly our work for ourselves, but we're still going to need the extra income. So I'm trying to, maybe next episode will be mainly contracts, because it'll only be June next month, so we'll still have a little ways to go. And hopefully, I'm hoping soon that we can maybe find a combine harvester on the used market. Hopefully one of the size that'll work for my farm, not a massive one. Granted, if I could afford a massive one, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea, but it'd be kind of like overkill to me. But one of the other things we never did either on the farm, we never really did our own dry fertilizer. Like I said, we hired it out through a co-op. It's just with equipment they have, they can get a lot done faster. Granted, the only thing that is unfortunate about that, which it goes for any service, is you're stuck playing the waiting game, because you don't know when for sure where they're going to come out, and they might have other issues, and you might not call in early enough either. So, but I do know is that a lot of times we'll incorporate it into the ground just before planting. But there are just so many different methods to how to do farming anymore. It's kind of crazy to think about. Like strip tilling's a big one, no till's another one. I kind of wouldn't mind doing a no till series, but I kind of want to stick with vertical till for now. there was a strip till mod out there. I'd probably be playing around with that later on in this session. But my goals right now is, I think between episodes, like I said, I'm gonna take some time. I won't make you guys watch. I'm gonna kind of tidy up the yard. Last thing I'm gonna check here. We'll just park this here for now. See how we're doing on our water for our greenhouse. Maybe we'll put up another greenhouse in the meantime. I think in the meantime too, I'll pick up some water today. Won't make you guys watch that. Get that topped off so we're good for the rest of the season. But I think we're gonna end it here. If you guys like the video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps out. If you're enjoying the content so far, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. And most of all, thanks for watching.